What's going on YouTube? JT's Reborn here. Welcome to a special little audio series. I'm recording this in my car because it's the best chance I have to record. But yeah, so this is going to be my MCU rewatch, and I'm going through and rewatching the entire MCU before Avengers Endgame comes out next month at the time I'm recording this. So far I've watched the first 3 movies at the time of recording this, and I plan on going through the rest of them when I get time. And hopefully by the time Endgame comes out, I'll be completely caught up with all the movies. That includes Captain Marvel, which I have not seen yet. And, yeah, I'll be ready. I'll be ready for Avengers Endgame. I loved Infinity War. Had a great time overall with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not everything works, but that's what we're going to go and find out. It's been years since I've seen these movies. So it's going to be kind of fun going back in and watching these for the first time in such a long, long time. So let's go ahead and start out with the first Iron Man. Now, the first Iron Man came out in 2008. I remember I was at my friend's house. We rode our bikes like a couple miles to go and see this thing. That's how much younger I was back then. The first Iron Man I remember seeing in theaters, had really fond memories of it. I thought it was epic. I thought it was awesome. I thought Downey Jr. was fantastic in the role, which, you know, he still is. This is the movie that jump-started this dude's career, because right after this, back in like August afterwards, he did Tropic Thunder, and Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder is one of the most ballsy performances. Like, you couldn't get away with that nowadays, especially in today's culture. But Downey Jr. is like the last actor to get away with wearing blackface on screen, and people just genuinely love him for it. He's so good in Tropic Thunder, and he's so good in this one. And then, like, after this, he did Sherlock Holmes. It was a career resurgence for Downey Jr., who, you know, obviously had one of the lowest points of any career possible. So it goes to show you that despite how low things can get, you can turn your life around and make it meaningful, which Downey Jr. did. He's made the biggest comeback in history of acting, film going, whatever you want to say. Iron Man was his comeback role, and he jump-started this universe. The first Iron Man movie, upon rewatching it, it's kind of funny going back and watching it. Like, oh, I remember when phones used to be like that. And I'm like, oh my god, MySpace references. This is definitely dated, but it's kind of cheesy and funny nowadays when you go back and look at it. But other than that, like, I really, really like the first Iron Man movie. So Tony Stark, he's this egotist. Well, he keeps his ego the whole time, but, you know, he's basically this guy who just makes money off of selling weapons. He gets enlightened when he gets attacked in the Middle East, and he gets held captive, and, you know, he has shrapnel going towards his heart, so he has to use his brain to, you know, manufacture this Iron Man armor to get himself out of this cave and take down these terrorists. And it's fantastic. You got him. You had the guy Yinsen, who was like this guy who kind of changed his life. He builds the arc reactor. You see him use his brain and his intelligence to, you know, science the shit out of, like, everything to get himself free. And it's really cool. What I like about the first Iron Man movie is it's really grounded, and it feels very practical and realistic. That Iron Man suit, the Mach 1 or whatever, the first, like, official one where he's got it, you know, color-coded and everything, that suit looks fantastic. I still think that's the best-looking Iron Man suit that he's ever had. I like the one in Iron Man 2, but it really feels like something's there, versus, like, when I watch Infinity War and he wears that motion capture, whatever you want to call it, suit, I don't feel like it's there. I don't really like the nanites one. I like that old school, like, heavy metal type vibe to it. I also love AC/DC in the movies, because I feel like AC/DC was Iron Man's theme song for all of Phase 1, and then it kind of got abandoned in Phase 2. And it's never really been brought back, so I'm really hoping in Avengers Endgame we get to hear some AC/DC, because AC/DC was like Iron Man's official, like, band, his official theme song, and it worked out really well. It was really cool to see him come in, like, shoot the thrill, like in the Avengers, and, like, you know, his ego's on full display there, and God, he's just great. Downey Jr. is so charismatic, and I absolutely love his performance. So the first 2 acts of Iron Man, I think, are 2 of the best acts in any superhero movie. It's the third act where it kind of, you know, Jeff Bridges is the villain. There's a couple of moments of Jeff Bridges I really enjoy, like the part that I always remember where he's just like, Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. Just the way he says that line is just really great. You got the 10 Rings, obviously, who kind of get set up to take over in Iron Man 3. They get brought back again. They're not really present in Iron Man 2. Gwyneth Paltrow was really good as Pepper Potts. You got Jarvis, and it was just kind of nostalgic going back in and watching the first Iron Man movie and seeing how far we've gone from the first one to now. Some other things I'll say about it: Terrence Howard, I still think is a better Rhodey than Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle just hasn't done it for me. I'm just like, wow, it's a real shame what happened with Terrence Howard and how they couldn't negotiate things per se, because I thought he was, and still is to this day, the best Rhodes. I still have not been too big on Don Cheadle. He tries, but he just hasn't really done anything for me in the role of Rhodes. I think it's because I just like Terrence Howard so much better. One other thing, the third act is where I kind of lose it a bit, where it's just the hero fighting someone who's exactly like them again. And you'll see this a lot in early Phase 1 Marvel movies, is it's it's just fighting a big guy in a suit versus another big guy in a suit. Nothing too creative, just a guy in a bigger suit fighting, another guy. And the action sequences, there's some really hardcore shit that you won't see nowadays, especially in today's overly Disney-fied climate. I know obviously they wiped out half the universe. I'm talking about some of the edgy stuff, Tony Stark, oogling over every girl he sees, just picking up chicks as he goes. You won't necessarily see that in any Disney movie nowadays. I can guarantee you that, especially in today's culture. But I love kind of the edge that the first Iron Man movie has, where he goes in there and just starts blowing shit up, like all the terrorists and that. He just goes there, starts saving people. He's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do this shit myself. Although there is something to it where he always talks about how he's just my weapons are doing all these bad things. I gotta shut it all down. Yeah, I'm gonna go there and just take care of it myself. It's whatever. And then finally, I guess we'll talk to two other aspects of the film before I wrap it up on my rewatch. The ending sequence was probably the most shocking part of the whole movie. Granted, this is my mindset when I saw it. 11 years ago now? Holy shit! When I first saw the first movie, the ending. Because you typically see things set up where it's just okay, the hero's not really going to say his identity, blah, 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 blah. But this is the first movie where the guy has such an ego where he goes out and says, no, fuck this, I am Iron Man. You never see that in any comic book movie at the time. I'm like, whoa! Where is this going to go from here? And I love that aspect of it. It's the final line where it's just I am Iron Man. Then it plays the Iron Man theme song, and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. And then basically at that point I walked out of the theater very satisfied, although I was still more in the mindset this is great. It's a good warm-up for The Dark Knight that comes out later this year, which Dark Knight I still think is a better movie and holds up better than the first Iron Man movie, but the first Iron Man movie is great. And then I didn't find out till a little while later, until about the Hulk came out, that there was a post-credit scene for the first Iron Man movie where Sam Jackson shows up as Nick Fury to talk about the Avengers Initiative. That's obviously what Phase 1 was about, setting up the Avengers, although the first one was about, getting Iron Man's story out there and so on and so forth, but it really was about setting up the Avengers and building this universe. And the build-up to Phase 1, there was really nothing quite like it, obviously, until they got to Endgame, because when you got to Avengers 2, it's just okay, we really have been waiting for Thanos. I feel like a lot of the stuff was kind of filler. But the first movie is about first phase is about building the Avengers. So, yeah. Okay, I think that's all I have to say. First Iron Man is great, holds up very well. Third act is kind of where it loses me just a little bit, but it's not enough to take me completely out of the movie. I really liked, the stuff I liked the most, his relationship with Pepper Potts I liked his friendship with Rhodey. The badassness of it, and I really just like seeing him build this whole thing from scratch, and it really started something special with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's amazing to think that we're 20 plus movies in, and it all started 10 years ago with a dude in a cave and a box of scraps. So, and they built something spectacular. So I highly recommend the first Iron Man movie. Go check it out if you have not already. I'm sure most people have, but I know a lot of people don't go back, and I don't know if everybody really goes back and watches all Phase 1, but if you gotta watch anything Phase 1, definitely watch the first Iron Man and the first Avengers. So, alright, well that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Thank you so much for listening and watching this video. I'm pretty much just gonna have a still image. It's a full-blown audio podcast, if you will, of the whole entire rewatch of the MCU. And I'm just talking about the movies. I'm not going back and watching the TV shows, because the thing I don't like when it comes to the TV shows is the movies have an impact on the TV shows, but the TV shows have no impact on the movies. So the TV shows are kind of pointless in hindsight. I really wish they didn't make any of them, except for Daredevil, because I like Daredevil. But, yeah. So, there's that. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.